People, Deluded, I'm back again. By now, Dan, they already know Fridays we do our show either on my platform like this week or like last week on yours. How you doing, my friend, man? It's a case of PSG dreams and Palace nightmares.
Bruv, you're right. It's a pleasure to be back on, man. Big up to the chat. Big up to everyone
Appreciate it.
that come over from mine and Lee's show.
Come
So
on, big up Lee as well. Big up Unks, man. Love for the read.
Yeah, big up to judges, man. We sent the redirect, so there's a few people in the house. Big up to you guys that's in the chat.
Come
Bruv,
on.
it's a strange one, man, because this weekend's going to be chill and I'm going to enjoy it. But then we know in a few days
Semi-finals.
after that, it's going to be a madness. So I'm going to enjoy this weekend and look forward to Tuesday, man.
I look forward to Tuesday. Look a bit scared to Tuesday. We'll get on to that, yeah. But how did you feel about the Palace game? Like, before I ask you about individual performances, what was your overall views on the game?
If I'm honest with you, I think the fans epitomised how bad the game was. It was flat. It was dead. It's probably one of the worst atmospheres I've seen at the Emirates in some time. I think people were just a little bit deflated and just a bit like, move on. It's all about PSG. So we can't really complain when the fans are like that with the players to have a little bit of a sense of that. Now, I'm all for every game matters, win every game, and I think the mentality should be that. But sometimes when you look at a lackluster performance like that, so many individuals that are out of form, I think it's our job to get the players up for that, sometimes and do our job. Now, I'm not blaming the fans for the performance because the players are on the pitch doing it. But at the same time, we weren't really doing our job either. It was very flat. It was hard to get songs going. There wasn't really anybody interested in it. It just felt like it was a fixture that got in the way of more important things, when really and truly Liverpool have now walked this league by 20 odd points because of us, because of these performances that we've regularly put in. And it's just another draw. I mean, that's 13 draws now. There's only Everton that have drew more than us, 14. That's not good when you're going for a title. Teams don't draw games like that when you're trying to win a title. You don't draw to Everton, Brentford, Palace, Forest, lose to West Ham. Can't be
9 points from winning positions as well.
Really bad, really bad. And yeah, it's been too many draws. And if I'm honest with you, bro, I look at the goals we conceded. They were bad, man. Really bad.
What do you make of the goals? Because I've been going back and forth in my group chat, and I feel the first one, which was Eze's one, if I can remember correctly, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm more annoyed in the sequence of play which led to the corner versus the corner. Yeah, maybe Raya could have done better. We could have done better. But I just think with us doing the zonal marking, we basically said to Eze, do it if you're bad. We left him free. 9 times out of 10, that doesn't happen. Unfortunately, it happened. The second goal, obviously, I want to know your thoughts. Like, is it with Raya? Is it with Kivio? Is it with Odegaard? Does it start and stop at Saliba? Because I understand Raya should be on his line and the frustration, but I do think he's offered a passing kind of option. And I just think Saliba's tried to be a bit clever. He's got the ability, but he's going to have to sign up for that one. What did you make of the second one?
The second one, for me, is mostly on Saliba for lack of spatial awareness yet again. And you'd think that he'd have his wits about him after doing it against Vinny Jr., but he didn't seem to. Secondly, I look at Odegaard and think it's a pathetic,
pathetic in it, really. Yeah,
trying to get the ball back, he just gets flicked off of it. I know Mateta's strong, but come on, man, at least put in half an effort. That's better.
At least make a meal of it.
That's right. And Raya's nowhere to be seen because he doesn't actually stay in his goal for the majority of the game. He's up playing centre half. So if you're going to be a sweeper, you're going to be a centre half, then wear an Arsenal shirt, not a goalkeeper shirt. Because for me, I want to see my goalkeeper in goal. So I think it's a little bit of everything after Saliba's howler. So Saliba's mostly to blame, but then you can't look at Odegaard and Raya and think, well, you can't really give it.
They could have done better.
Them either, Odegaard, for me, there's more issues on that, which I'm sure we'll come to. And Raya, as much as I think he's been great this season, there's times where I think just get in your goal, stop prattling around, or
do the traditional stuff,
do the nice stuff as well, do the David Seaman, Peter Schmeichel goalkeeper as well as the modern day stuff. Like have a little bit of both about you, because that's where the best are. Alisson and Courtois, they've got a little bit all rounded of they can do the modern day stuff, but actually when you look at what they've got, essentially the old school is still there. Raya needs a little bit more of the old school in him. He needs to actually remain in his goal and know that you can come for crosses and collect them and not punch them all the time. And you don't always have to pass your defender. You can go long and you can actually stay on your goal line if you want sometimes. So there's some definite weaknesses in all of their play, to be fair. Take nothing away from Mateta. Thought it was an unbelievable finish, to be fair. And he was a nuisance and a handful, as he always is when he comes on. The first goal was annoying as well because Eze's been left there unmarked. Quite clearly, he's one of their best players, probably their most skillful, some would say. And he was actually left in the first place. Before that, we got away with it. To do it again was scary. So yeah, some errors that I don't want to be seeing against PSG, because you do that against them, you go out.
Yeah, facts.
That's what
Which
I
is
think.
annoying.
But is what it is. I think, look, we can't look at it too harshly, because I don't think the players' heads were in the game. But again, you can ask the question, why was that? We should have the mentality to go, look, I know that we're 15 points behind. I don't want to be any more behind. Let's go and win this game. It's a winnable game. We should be beating those teams that are there. From the West Ham game onwards, we've dropped 13 points. That is absolutely criminal. And it's not like we've dropped 13 points to Liverpool, Cities, United, Spurs.
It's the dumb games like last year.
It's the bad games again, man. And I think it was something along the lines of 18 points dropped from winning positions. Last season, we had 17 in last season and the season before. So in 2 years, we dropped 17 points from winning positions. This season alone, we've dropped 18 just alone with this season. That ain't good enough when you're going for a title, bruv. That just really ain't.
How much of that is down to injuries? Before I ask you how much of it down to it is just us, would you say, with dropping points? Because I think 2 of the games we finished with 10 men. Like, how much is it because of injuries and referees' decisions? And then how much, I guess, is down to just us, really, like the variables we can control for you, Dan?
So let's look at the 3 excuses that people are using this season as to why we've not had the season we wanted. The first excuse is red cards. Okay. Now, as much as you can say the referees haven't been consistent, the red cards we got probably were red cards. Yeah. You might disagree with the Saliba one if you think that Ben White could have got back. But really, what's he doing? He's pulling him down and he's made the referee make a decision. Ben White could have got back, but that probably was a red card. Declan Rice, he's got to go because he's kicked the ball away. Yes, they don't do it anymore, and it's not bad. At the start of the season, we were told you can't do that anymore. They've done it. He's already on a yellow. It's stupid. Trossard, already on a yellow, kicks the ball away right in front of the ref. It's stupid. Now, but Bruno didn't get one. Yeah, but Zoboslai didn't get one. Yeah, I know. Unlucky, innit? Sometimes you're unlucky. Yeah, so no, red cards, not
And we
for
know
me.
we're judged differently as well.
Facts.
So don't give them a decision.
Then let's go to refereeing decisions. For me, missed chances are the reason that we did not win those games. It wasn't Declan Rice getting sent off and Trossard getting sent off. We should have won both those games, but we didn't because we fluffed our lines. We missed our chances. Then you look at injuries. Have we had injuries? Yes, that's a fact. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. Have we done enough in the summer and January transfer windows? No.
Nope.
So there's no excuses for me then. So if you're not going to do anything in January, you go, yeah, but we got injured. Well, you knew you were going to get injuries. You decided not to do anything. So don't start of the season and go, shall we try and get away with about 17 or 18 players here? If the answer is yes, do not come to me and say, we had players injured, so only 9 to 11 people were available. We had to play kids. Because your choice was to do that. So if you go into the season and say, right, I've got a 25-man squad here, and you get 5 players injured, you've got 20 men to pick from. When you go into and have 19 and you have 9 injuries, you're now struggling and got to bring some of the kids in. Now, luckily, Lewis Skelly and Ethan were 2 absolute ballers. But if that was Mark Gower and old Butler Adey, we would be in trouble. Yeah. So we've got to look at it now and think that we can't be putting much of it down to ourselves. And, that's why we've dropped points this season for me, is because of those reasons. It hasn't been because, wow, there's nothing more we could have done. The referees didn't want us to win. Red cards shouldn't have been red cards. There's no way those goals should have been allowed. We're not given. The referees hate us, and injuries have absolutely killed us. So there's no way anybody would have been able to do it. I'm sorry, man. It's on the club. And that's the reason we didn't do it. And that's why in the summer, everyone wants a reaction from it. And Berta coming in hopefully does that, mate.
I'm with you, Dan. I think at the end of the day, I think there's a reality where if we had the summer or January, how us fans, most logical fans wanted, and we still had injuries and whatnot, I personally would say fair enough, because you actively tried. It's unlucky. But we said, and I know for a fact, because I'm sure if I go back on my YouTube channel, me and you in the summer, we said, even if everybody's fit, we've got a tiny squad. Our manager keeps speaking about it. We want to compete in 4 competitions. At the end of the day, if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And going back to the question I asked you, I honestly think it's a bit of everything. I do think the drop-off is too far when we've been missing key players. I do think a lot of the time, more so actually when we've had the defeats versus the draws, I think we've run out of steam because we've played a lot of games and we don't have everybody fit, which goes back to what you said. And then I also feel, and I would love to know your thoughts, I don't feel we're playing to the same defensive standard. Now, I only say that to say this. It's because, and I'm going to ask you about Saliba. And I know every goal could be avoidable, but I just feel since the start of the season, we've conceded too many brain farty kind of goals. We've conceded too many goals where, when you watch a goal again, bro, and you could see maybe Saka could have followed his run. This Rice could have covered. This centre back could have done this. I'm seeing too many of those kind of things, and I don't know why we're not able to see out Leeds a lot of the time, if I'm completely honest. But I do think there needs to be a bit more game management. Do you think we've dropped off a level defensively, even when everyone's fit? And when I say that, I mean like the whole team, the pressing, the game management, the defense, everything.
So I agree with you. Defensively, we look to have got bad, but I will say this: I think not bad. I think we've still got a good record defensively. We're still quite good individually defensively. I actually think Kivior and Saliba's partnership has not been nowhere near as bad. I think we're still yet to lose in something like 10 or 11 games. Kivior deserves his plaudits. Thought he was one of our best players against Palace along with Thomas Partey. I will say this about Saliba. I don't really know how many games we expect him to play. I'll say this. I don't know how many games Saliba is supposed to play before he needs a rest and before we start to appreciate that actually he is playing way too many games. And I love him. He's one of my favourite players. I think he's a phenomenal defender. I do think as much as the Saliba-Kivior partnership's been good, we have drew a few games. Games I think we would have won with Gabriel and Saliba together. And I'm not saying that's Kivior's fault. I actually think Saliba's been worse than Kivior in the last few games. And I wonder if he's playing too much. I think Gabriel and Saliba also complement each other. I've seen Gabriel partner Ben White and it doesn't look the same. And I've now seen Saliba partnering Kivior. As much as it's great, it still doesn't look the same. So Gabriel and Saliba definitely deserve a hell of a lot of praise this season. When they played together, it's been brilliant. I think it's the best partnership in Europe. Whether you think it's the best defence in Europe is a different question. But I think as terms of a partnership, I think it's brilliant. Are they the best two defenders in the world? Maybe they're not, but I think they're up there. So I think that's definitely come into it. I also think with Saliba that he's got so much credit in the bank that if this was Kivior, we'd be going absolutely mad.
We'd be going mad. Let's keep it 100. We would be going mad.
Mustafi or Holding or Chambers, we'd all be going.
That's why he shouldn't be playing the yada. The level is too far. We would. So we have to give him praise. Same way.
You know, this shouldn't be putting him in there. But we've got to praise him up. So Kivior deserves praise. Saliba's been unbelievable. The credit's in the bank. But there's definite question marks over how much game time he's playing. And I would look now to be looking at cover for Saka, Ødegaard, Saliba, and Timber. And hopefully White is that kind of cover for Timber because obviously he's had injury problems. So really Saliba, Ødegaard, and Rice and Saka are the ones that I'm looking at thinking, right, what cover have we got for Rice? Is it good enough? Is Marino good enough or is he actually better as a false nine? Ødegaard, who's there? Is Waneri that guy or is Saka or is he covering for Saka? And likewise, Saka, if Waneri's not covering for him, who is? They're the sort of positions I'm looking at. You know, if we can look at the likes of Huijsen for Saliba and we look at an attacking midfielder coming in for Ødegaard, back up for Saka, looking at a box-to-box midfielder, great stuff. If we're not doing that, then what are we doing? Because these guys can't play this amount of football. It's crazy. It's crazy amount of games.
They're being run into the ground. And I would say of the 3 seasons, Saliba has been properly integrated into the team. Last year, he was superb. The season before, obviously, was superb. And we know how our season was derailed by one injury. I look at this season with Saliba kind of a twofold, bro, in that I feel on one hand, I actually think he's been good. I know I know people think no players make mistakes, but everyone makes mistakes. Van Dijk makes mistakes all the time. It takes nothing away from him. And like you said, when Saliba's got the credit in the bank, the potential, the reputation, everybody's going to see the previous 2 years and then look at this one as a bit of a downer, in which I can't disagree. I don't think he's as good as the 2 previous years, but I still think his level is cool. But that being said, though, as much as it says here, Saliba has committed more errors leading to goals in his last 3 appearances for Arsenal, 2 than in the previous 126. Obviously, it's come at the wrong time. It tells us not to exaggerate, but it's come at the wrong time. Now, blushes were spared against Real Madrid. Crystal Palace, it is what it is. Those kind of things can happen. But, like, what do you put it down to? Do you think it's just on brand with his poor season? Do you think it's going back to what you were saying about he needs rest? Is he just in a poor moment? Or is it a case of, as great as he is, Gabriel Magalhaes kind of holds his hand and keeps him focused in certain aspects?
So I think he's better next to Gabriel, but I don't look at Saliba and think, wow, you need Gabriel. I actually look the other way around. I think Gabriel, alongside others, has not been anywhere near as good. So I think Saliba's definitely the better player. I think Gabriel has been the better defender for us in the last 18 months. I think Saliba just looks an unbelievable Rolls Royce of a defender. Obviously, Gabriel's got 27 and Saliba's 24. So I look at what he's done and I think, wow, just incredible. Absolutely incredible. I just think he's had a couple of bad games. I'm not going to worry about it. I ain't going to get on his back. I don't know what I put it down to. Maybe just poor form. Maybe he's played too much. Maybe he needs a rest. However, he ain't going to get a rest because we haven't got any cover whatsoever. The only way we can do that is in the Premier League game is to play White and Timber. That's the only thing we can do and give him a rest. So maybe we do that in one of the Premier League games now that we know that the league's done and dusted because Liverpool are going to win that the minute they beat Tottenham because they ain't going to.
At least they do it against Spurs, bro.
That's true. I mean, Tottenham don't do anyone any favours, and to be fair, it's not even a favour because even if they beat them, they've got to lose every other game. So look, I don't feel like Saliba is going to be a problem, man. I think he's going to be fine. I just think that there's been a couple of games where he's made a couple of mistakes, and hopefully he looks at that and goes, right, why am I dilly-dallying on the ball? Let's calm. Let's get rid of it. What am I doing? If there's a player on me, I'll pass it back to Raya. Because that's all he's got to do in both those scenarios is go, yeah, no thanks, David. Fucking hit it up there. Don't give it to me. I've got players on me. That's all he's got to do.
Pass too many, yeah.
He's giving me the ball. I've got to try and turn it around, people. I can't pass it back to my keeper. You can, man. Just pass it back. It's like a stupid ball. And I must say this. I think sometimes Raya gives him absolute suicide balls. I mean, that one against Real Madrid.
They do half trust each other in it, Partey and Raya as well.
They really trust each other. Really do, man.
I think you're bang on the money. Let me be devil's advocate, yeah. Like, do you think Saliba's head's turned? Like, do you think it's a case of maybe he's believing his own hype? He knows he's getting a big deal back by Arsenal. He knows Real Madrid are looking at him. He knows that he's in a good moment. Like, do you think there's an air of complacency, kind of on brand indirectly with, in my opinion, how we approached the Crystal Palace game in that we know one eye is on Tuesday, in which I don't know how far that goes because Crystal Palace got a semi-final on the weekend and I don't think their fans would question that in that game.
I think if it is complacency, it's because his eyes are on PSG, not Real Madrid. I don't think his eyes are on a summer move. From what we hear and understand, he's happy to stay at Arsenal and start a new deal. I hope he does. I do believe he will be a Real Madrid player. I don't think it'll be this summer. I think he'll stay with Arsenal and maybe next summer or the summer after we'll worry about that. I think he's going to have 2 more seasons at Arsenal. I think he will sign a new deal. And then I think we'll get a hell of a lot of money for him when he's about 27, 28. And he'll go and play for Real Madrid for the next few years, and he'll be sensational over there. That's why I hope he doesn't do what Fabregas did, and that's I need to leave to go and win trophies. I can win them here. You know, Fabregas wanted to stay at Arsenal and win trophies, but he realised it wasn't going to happen. And
didn't he sign an 8-year deal once or something like that?
Crazy, yeah. I mean, Fabregas
I might be making it up. I'm sure
he was going to be here forever, and he was happy here, and But it doesn't always happen like that. And this is why when I say about Saka and Ødegaard and Saliba and Rice and Martinelli and Gabriel, don't believe they're now here forever. They will go if we do not win trophies, and that's why if Saliba does go to Real Madrid when he's 27, I want him to have said, you know what, like Trent can say, I've won everything at this club.
I won some stuff. Yeah,
I can now leave, and I can have great memories there. So that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at.
I want to keep up the theme with defenders here. Obviously, Kiwior is someone that has been subject to speculation. As good as he's been, you know, it's kind of on brand with when Kiwior's got a run in the team. Like there's injuries, you get your little run. 2 superb performances against Real Madrid, as you said earlier, doing his thing against Crystal Palace. Do you think that has, well, first thing, has that changed your thinking with maybe letting Kiwior go? Or 2, do you think there might be more offers? Because he is someone that's always linked with moves away. Maybe he's put a couple more zeros on his price tag. Like, where are you at with Kiwior now?
So I think the club would happily keep him as left centre-back cover for Gabriel. I think the fans would appreciate that he's good cover for Gabriel now. However, I don't think he wants to stay. And I'll tell you why I don't think he does, because he can see that he's not guaranteed first-team football. He actually probably would play a lot of football if we was to go into the latter stages of all 4 competitions. But once we don't do that, he knows his playing numbers and minutes are down. So as much as I would happily keep him at left-sided centre-back cover and bring in somebody for Saliba's cover, as in one defender, I don't think he will stay because I think he'll want to go. The thing is, we could actually probably now get 25, 30 million for Kiwior, whereas before I think we were looking at maybe 15, 20. So, yeah, that's where I'm at, bro. That's where I'm at.
I can't disagree. I mean, if Kiwior wants to stay, I'm cool with it. If he thinks that, you know what, maybe I've showed the gaffer I might not be Gabriel Magalhaes, but I can get more first team football. Or maybe he said, you know what, I do want to move on. I'll be watching that situation closely, and I'm sure, no doubt, across our 2 channels as time goes on, there'll be a lot of transfer talk that we're going to have to cover. As you know yourself, there's a lot of moving parts. Obviously, we need to bring in players anyways and sell players anyways, but what we're able to do, what players are able to come in, we don't know. You can make a case of several people leaving in. I don't know where you at with Trossard, because I think Trossard and Kivior are in the same book. I don't necessarily. I know Trossard's contract is running out, and obviously he's got 4 in 4 now. But I look at them two. I don't think the club would force them two out. I don't think their priority sales. I just think if they looked at it, or Berta looks at it and says, who are we going to get decent offers for? Assuming Kivior, the interest in Italy is still going on and he's putting more zeros, he's going to get offers. Trossard's got a year left. We rejected Saudi. If they come back, I just think them two could go. Like, where are you at with Trossard? Because he's actually in a sweet bit of form, which we need him to continue. He's definitely on Tuesday.
I've never had a problem with Trossard. I like him as a squad player. I think he's a great player to come off the bench. I think when he does start in the false 9, he does well. When he does start on the left, he scores goals. I'm a fan. I think he's been a great signing. I think he's a steal for 27 million. My problem with him is he's rejected a stay at Arsenal. And when you give him a contract and he says no, you've got to let him go when he's got 1 year left, because otherwise he's going to go for nothing. So if the rumours are true about Saudi Arabia and they are actually interested in signing him, if we can get anywhere upwards of 35 million, I'm taking it. And I'm putting that money towards somebody on the left-hand side to compete and maybe upgrade on Martinelli. Now, Martinelli's been great of late, and I think when Trossard has started ahead of him, I've always question marked it, because I'm like, well, Martinelli's form's actually been good. What we doing? Finally, he's scoring. We need to be playing him.
We waited a long time for that.
Very long time, unfortunately. Trossard, for me, is a very good squad player. If he doesn't want to be a squad player and he wants to go and start, then what we might have to do is say, look, this is not going to happen for you, and we're going to sell you so you can go and get first-team football. He's in his 30s. He's going to look at that Saudi move as being potentially one of his last moves and an unbelievable chance to earn a hell of a lot of money.
Some serious wonga, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a chance that he goes, if I'm honest with you. And I wouldn't cry if he went. I wouldn't cry if he stayed. He's a player that I like as a squad player. If he wants to be more than that, he has to go and seek first-team football elsewhere, because I don't think that's what Arsenal need right now. However, when he does come on and he's coming into the goals and he's scoring against Ipswich and he's scoring against Palace, he's doing his job. And that's, all you can ask for Trossard. I don't think he's been a bad signing at all. I think if you're looking at January signings like Reyes and Arshavin and Aubameyang, I think he's right up there with that. I think what you look at in terms of the goals that he scored at important moments, he scored Champions League goals against Porto and against Bayern Munich at great times. He's
good value for money
consistently. He's been good. So I think he's been a good signing. I don't mind if he goes, but I think he probably has to, if I'm honest, if we want to move forward. And he doesn't want to stay, doesn't want to sign, we're going to have to get money for him, bro.
It's as simple as that, man. And I mean, Berta or Arteta, they're going to have to be very flexible in what they do, because my first challenge is adding quality. So quality for me would be everywhere, but evidently, and we'll get onto it, but a number 9, a left winger, a central midfielder. I think defense is a peculiar situation, because whether it's Kivior, Zinchenko, long-term Tomiyasu, there's a lot of kind of rejigging there, and you can make a case of a right-sided centre-half that can play right back, a left-sided centre-half that can play left back, a Timber Tomiyasu kind of guy that can play in all those roles. I don't know how much Mikel Merino and Kai Havertz affects what we do in attacking roles, because they can both play up there as well as midfield, and we'll get on to Partey. But before we carry on with that, I have to ask you about Martin Odegaard. I watched your video. He's quite passionate, man. Like, where you at with Martin? He did get an assist, but I'd hardly say he's playing amazing. And, some fans have been a lot more harsher on him than us. And where we've got the only game with PSG to win the champs, our captain's not really playing amazing. Like, where you at with him? Do you think he's also crossing into that border of being scapegoated at times?
Yeah, I did think this, but I'm struggling to stick up for him now, DG. I really am. I'd like to stick up for him. I think he's a great player. I think he's technically gifted. My problem is there's been a run of performances this season where he's had an absolute stinker. And right. I think he's a good player, not an outstanding player. And I've always thought that, to be fair. I don't know that he is the guy. I think he might be the guy before the guy. I always feel like he's the Bernardo Silva, not the KDB, and we need to go and sign the KDB.
I hear that.
I think he's a left 8. I don't think he's a number 10. So there's a lot that I don't like about his positioning and what Mikel Arteta has done with him. Then I look at the performances he has put in, and it's been great. So I personally do like what I see from Martin Odegaard as a kind of player for Arsenal in the last few years. However, other than a couple of seasons out of the 4 or 5 that he's had, he's been quite poor, really. I mean, he scored 15 goals in the 22-23 season. Obviously, the next season after that, his assists and goals went down, but he was quite pivotal in certain games.
Still affecting the game.
Yeah, of course, for a Premier League. But in the first 2 seasons, I wasn't too sure why we were signing him. I thought he was an okay player, but I thought there was better options. And this season, when I look at the attacking 10s or the attacking 8s in the league, I don't put him anywhere near some of the others. And in overall terms, I would. But in form this season, I don't think he's been better than Bruno Fernandes. I don't think he's been better than Joe Linton or Bruno Guimaraes. I don't think he's been better than Palmer. I don't think he's been better. And Palmer's been rubbish, by the way, in 2025. But his goals and assists leave him dead in the water. I don't think he's been better than Cunha. I don't think he's been better than Eze. I don't think he's been better than Morgan Gibbs-White. I don't think he's been better than Morgan Rogers. I'm like, wow, we're getting towards 8, 9, 10 players there that are better than him. Why is that?
Yeah, you named the whole football team. Wenger be proud of them attackers in the starting 11.
I've got to look at it and believe that this guy's better than them, and he's not proving that he is. So I've got problems, brother, if I'm honest, with him at the moment, and I'm struggling to get any form of life from him at the moment. It just seems that his decision-making is off. He doesn't look fit enough. I don't know if it's true
Confidence
about him
looks shot as well, man.
Yeah, confidence is down. I mean, there's rumours that he's still getting pain injections in his foot to get him through.
He must be. I have to find some.
Well, a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying it. A lot of people are saying he needs another operation in the summer. Which
I wouldn't be surprised.
So something's not right with him. I will say this. There's two things I'll say. One, I want to see him 100% fit next season. And look at him then. No more excuses. No more he's not fit. No more he's not well. He's had a baby. All this crap. All that needs to go out the window for me, right? That needs to happen. The other thing that needs to happen is we need to buy a centre forward. And if we buy that striker and he's still not performing and he's still not providing goals and assists, then we can have a discussion. So that's where I'm at next season with him. He gets the season for me next season to prove he is a top quality player. And if he isn't, maybe we can have that discussion.
I mean, I'm with you in the sense of, obviously, I don't like to, I'm not saying Dan or anyone's turning on players, but at the end of the day, this is football, innit? I believe if you play well, praise. If you're in a bad moment, you get support, but we highlight the obvious criticisms, right? So I'm not saying, like, I'm not one of them guys. I can hear the logic and the rhetoric around getting rid of the captaincy. I personally wouldn't, because Arteta still wants him to be the captain. If he still stinks up the place and his captaincy's gone, then what? And I also don't quite agree with, you take the captain's armband away from him and he suddenly, you know, like, all the pressure's lifted. You play for Arsenal, there's pressure. You're one of the key players. You're one of the attacking players. It's still going to happen, right? Do you feel like we're going to have to monitor his situation? Now, I only say that because obviously Berta's walked in. You've got to evolve as a team, innit? This team, come the summer, they would have been together, the vast majority of them, about 4 years. They're going into a fourth kind of season. So as you know yourself, you know, people at the start of our title campaign, like what, 2022, 23, Tierney was a starting left back. There's been a lot of evolution. And you mentioned Martinelli. Obviously, if Martinelli doesn't kick on with the wages he's on, you're looking at, are you going to be a squad player or you're going to be moved on? Now, Odegaard's our captain. He's probably been the worst of the starting midfield three. He's on big money. If he has another season like this, do you think Berta will be looking at, oh, you know what, it's nothing personal, it's just business. Those resources could go elsewhere. And I do agree with what you said in that we're in a difficult situation in that we don't have anyone else in our squad that can do what Odegaard does, clearly off the ball. I do think Nwaneri can play that role on the ball, but off it, he needs to improve. Other than that, you might be looking at a Marino there or a Kai Havertz, etc. Like, where would you be at with that?
The midfield needs some surgery, don't it? Let's just be real. The midfield needs mad surgery. I actually think it's been one of our weakest departments. And it's weird to say that off the back of the Real Madrid game, because that was one of the games where it was outstanding. But I do feel we've been quite weak in midfield this season. I think Thomas Partey's been outstanding. I don't think Declan Rice has been consistent, but over the last month, he's been outstanding. Odegaard's had a bad year. Look, what I would like to see happen, personally, if Zubimendi is coming in, is I think we need to look at a box-to-box midfielder and an aggressive midfielder on top of Rice and Odegaard, so that we actually have some strength in depth. Because right now, I'm not sure if he trusts Ethan to back up Odegaard. I'm not sure if he sees Marino as a backup to Rice. And I don't know with bringing Zubimendi in where he sees Partey and Rice's future. So it's all a bit of a mess right now. What I would like to see happen is that window to shut and we go, oh my God, look at this. We've got 2 6s, we've got 2 8s, we've got 2 10s. This is incredible. I don't know that we're going to get that. If we bring in Zubimendi and we keep Thomas Partey and sell Jorginho, we've got Zubimendi, Rice and Partey that can all play in the 6. Rice that can play in the box-to-box, Marino that can play in the box-to-box, and then Odegaard and Nwaneri. I don't know that is out of the three, the position that we need to strengthen most. I think if it was me,
it'd be a luxury, innit?
It would be like a luxury. Now, Zubimendi would be a good signing if we were to remove players from this side. But if you look at everybody staying, Jorginho going, Zubimendi comes in, but we haven't actually strengthened either of the other two positions. We're still using Marino and Nwaneri to back up Rice and Odegaard. Is that good enough? Or is it time for us to go and get a proper box-to-box midfielder and a proper attacking midfielder and have Rice and Odegaard really fight for their position and fight to keep their position, which I think they would probably do. But it's great to have that backup, right? I don't really want to be seeing Fabio Vieira, Emil Smith-Rowe and Nwaneri all trying to, kind of get into Odegaard's position. I think we might need more than that. And Nwaneri might even be cover for Saka next season.
I think that's his short-term future, if I'm honest, like that little right wing kind of pocket.
Yeah, I think so. Look, if I'm brutally honest with you, if I said to you now, who's the best number 6 at the club, I'd say Thomas Partey. And I love Rice in the 6, but Thomas Partey is brilliant. If I said to you, who's the best box-to-box midfielder at the club, I'd probably say Lewis Skelly.
I hear that. I'd have went Rice, but I hear that.
Rice is a proper box-to-box. I think Rice can do that and has shown against Madrid and PSV and Man United that he can do that role. But he's also shown in other games he can't do that role. In the number 10 role, I still don't think Odegaard is a number 10. I think our best number 10 is probably Ethan. So when I look now and I think, Raw, where are you in terms of what can you do? I think Ethan's a 10 or a winger. I think Odegaard's an 8, but he's playing in the 10. I think Rice is a 6, but he's playing in the 8. So there's only really Thomas Partey that's playing in the right position. So unless we change our
careful, PSG second leg, he might play right back, man. Don't talk into existence. Never know.
So I think when you look at our midfield trio, I think they can play in those positions. Are they natural to them? They've not showed me that personally. If we change to a double pivot and play Partey, Rice, and Odegaard in the 10, or Partey, Rice, and another number 10, maybe we can have that conversation about where people are. But I think we're trying to force people at the moment into where they believe they should play, when I think naturally Odegaard is a Bernardo and we need a 10 like KDB. Rice is a 6, but, Partey's there, and maybe we use Partey as backup and we play Rice in the 6. I think there's a lot of question marks over our midfield, and he's got to get the balance right. And for me, I think the midfield absolutely has to be looked at in the summer, big time.
I think you're bang on the money. I think, every area of our squad, I think most Arsenal fans, definitely before the ball was kicked this season, I don't know where they're at now with everything that's been at hand, but the defensive unit, we'd say we can kind of live comfortably there. As we both said earlier, maybe there's some chopping and changing. We'll get onto it, but we hear Partey, new deal. I'm cool with keeping Partey. We all want to keep him. Rice, keep doing what you're doing. Odegaard's there. We do need, you can make a case of, I would like 2 central midfielders at minimum, but who would that be? Would it be an 8 and a 6? Would it be 2 6s? Would it be an 8? Would it be a 10 and an 8? And all of those kind of things. So it's a bit of a techie one. You've said it a couple of times, yeah, and I agree with it, but why don't you think Odegaard plays organically in the 8, like off that kind of left-hand side? I'm not saying I want this, but before the Crystal Palace game, Mikel Arteta said Declan Rice can play in all 3 midfield positions. Now, I'm not saying I want to see Rice play as a 10, but I assume he meant 10, 8, and a 6, or you could mean even 4. But why don't you think he maybe not necessarily put Rice as a 10, but move Rice further forward and put Odegaard in that little pocket off the left with Lewis Skelly doing that inverted stuff? Why don't you think he plays as an 8? Surely a new role might help him, per se.
So I don't think we can put Rice any further forward, if I'm honest, because I think it totally takes away his attributes defensively, and I think they're outstanding. I think Declan Rice is at best a box-to-box. He's not an attacking midfielder. I don't like him as a Gerrard or a Lampard. I think Declan Rice is definitely more of a Patrick Vieira or Roy Keane or Yaya Toure. Yeah, Martin Odegaard for me is he's very good at joining the dots, I suppose, is the best way to say it. I don't think he's never been a goal scoring midfielder other than once where he got 15 goals, which was an anomaly. All 3 of our front 4 getting a 15 each was just ridiculous.
What a year that was, man.
Unbelievable year. So he's never been, if you check his stats, he's never been a goal scoring midfielder. He hasn't actually been as creative as what some people think. So I think he is actually a perfect number 8 because his stats will probably be quite similar to a Bernardo, to be fair, who's scored goals and assisted goals. But actually, when you look at it, most of the goals that he did score was when he was playing off of the wide areas. When he's in that central role, he's joining the dots and he's allowing Foden, KDB and Haaland to score the goals. I think that's where he is. I think that's what he should be. and maybe that will improve his game. It might take a little bit of pressure off of him as well, because the minute that we're not scoring goals, he's the one we're looking at. Why aren't you assisting? Why aren't you providing? Why aren't you creating? I don't know that he is, if I'm honest. I don't think he's anywhere near the level of some of the other attacking midfielders Arsenal have had. And I think that's just...
Fans tried to fight me when I said he's nowhere near Ozil creative-wise. And everybody knows Dan will back it up. I love Martin Odegaard, but I couldn't believe the rhetoric with that.
I love Martin Odegaard. My problem with him is he's nowhere near the level of Mesut Ozil. He's nowhere near the level of Santi Cazorla. He's nowhere near the
level of his previous self.
He's nowhere near the level of Fabregas. He's nowhere near the level of Paul Merson. When I was growing up watching Mercy, he was unreal. He was the guy that was creating all of our scoring all of our goals. But people might be too young to remember that. He is not one of the best. He wouldn't even get in the top 5 at the top attacking midfielders in Arsenal's history. Like, let's just be real.
And that's no slight on him. We're a big club. That's just the reality of life.
We need to be in reality of it. A lot of Arsenal fans are saying, like, oh, what are you talking about? He's one of the best great midfielders I've ever seen. That's because you haven't seen the history of the club. You've just watched the last 5 years and thought,
and they'll turn on him next year's season and then flip-flop. Yeah, that's how football is.
100%. If we was to go and get, let's say, Florian Wirtz, who looks like he's on his way to either City, Madrid, or Bayern. Let's say we get him. I don't think we will, but let's say we get him. He goes into the 10, Ødegaard into the 8, and Rice in the 6. I think we've got a great midfield. That's how quickly it can happen. You don't have to get rid of all 3 of them and buy 3 new players. Yeah, we need 3 players.
Change and rejig.
They could be backup players. So if you go and get a 6 like Zubimendi, you go and get attacking mid. Let's say we get Reinders, who would be my number 1 from AC Milan, and then you go and get Florian Wirtz. Then all of a sudden we've got unbelievable midfielders, because we've got Rice and Zubimendi in the 6, we've got Reinders and Ødegaard in the 8, and we've got Florian Wirtz and in the 10, and Ødegaard that can play there. We still got Havertz, we still got Ethan Nwaneri. Like, let's be real, we've actually got some good players there. That's where I'm at. But a lot of people will disagree, and Mikel Arteta would disagree, because our midfield next season will be Zubimendi, Rice, and Ødegaard, and then the backup will be Partey, who I think will stay on a 1 year, and then we'll have Marino to back up Rice and Ethan to back up Ødegaard. That's what I think it will be, bruv.
I think I'm going to second that. I think that's what it would be. I feel Odegaard's a peculiar situation. I echo everything Dan said, which, putting it simply, he just needs to step up. Yeah, you might need surgery. Ankle's still not really there. I do cut you a bit of that tax. I do think Mikel Arteta off his own back has to evolve the system. Yeah, we've got 100 goals in all comps and stuff, but I think our biggest struggles are, we can move it from, we messed up against Palace, but from Raya into midfield, and to get into just in and around the edge of the opponent's box, I think we're somewhat superb at that, innit, give or take. Once we get to that final third, and like they say, the hardest thing is to do is score goals, I think that's where we have a bit of a roadblock. We all know deep blocks, low blocks, we're in kind of trouble. Whether that's moving the ball faster, whether that's players in the pockets, whether that's stretching systems, whether that's finding a plan B. I'm not Mikel Arteta. I don't have my coaching badges to his level. He needs to find that. And I do think there's a bit of a attacking tax I throw on everyone, even Bukayo Saka, as crazy as that is to say, in it, he's still finding a way. And I do think Odegaard's role in our system is very, very complicated. Like, he's got far too much to do, if I'm completely honest with you. And I understand that. But then at the same time, I do think in the last 2 or so games, the bar's been on the floor. He's been doing a bit better. But I just think he needs to get back to it. And I think anyone who thinks we just get a Gyökeres, a Nico Williams, a Zubimendi, or Wirtz, like you mentioned, and we're just automatically a better team, I think you're smoking. I think, naturally, of course, we are a better team because we've got quality players. But I think you're bugging out. I think there's stuff Arteta needs to do to evolve the team. I think Berta's got a lot to do. I think these players have got to want to get better, which I'm not accusing them of not doing. I don't think Odegaard's happy, but there's just so many ingredients. And I do think what you're alluding to is bang on the money. Like, we focus on Nico Williams and left wing and strikers and whatnot, and maybe even defenders more in recent weeks. But midfield is a crucial area. If Rice is going to keep playing as 8, I've got no issues. But you need that long-term partner, regardless of what's happening with Thomas Partey. So we have to see. I mean, we've already indirectly spoken about it. Our last 9 games haven't been nice. That's also something we need to improve next season, holding on to leads for winning positions. Before we talk about transfer news, I want to talk about the players that actually are at the club. Yep. Now, you would have seen against Crystal Palace, Mikel Merino and Benjamin White weren't in the squad. What does that make you feel going into the PSG game? Is it mind games from the manager? Do you think they were just a bit of a doubt and they're not involved? If they're not there, where are we at, man? What's everything PSG, man? It's kind of scary.
Yeah, well, I thought they must have both got a knock, but from what I was hearing, they're both rested. for the PSG game. Now, I don't know if that means Ben White's going to play at right back, Timber left back, and we try and put Lewis Skelly in the middle and go Marino up top, which would potentially be harsh on Trossard, but I wouldn't mind that happening.
I'd go Marino up top, man.
Yeah, I want Marino up top, if I'm honest. The other thing that he could do, of course, is play Trossard up top, Marino in midfield, and keep everything else the same. I think if it was Jorginho fit, he'd just be coming in and everything else would remain the same. But now that he's out, you know what I'm saying? Another one out. Now we're going to be sitting there thinking, what do we do? Partey out. I think Rice plays 6. Marino goes in the midfield. Trossard through the middle. Lewis Skelly left back. What could happen is you could have Ben White and Timber at fullback, and Lewis Skelly goes in the middle. You could have Kieran Tierney at left back, and Lewis Skelly goes in the middle. But really, I think the Marino and White resting at Palace, I don't think they're both out. I think they'll be back for PSG. Whether White starts, I don't know. I think Marino starts. I think Marino starts. I just don't know where. I don't know where. I don't know if he plays in midfield or if he plays in up top. I want him up top, DG. I've got to be honest.
Same. But, he ain't got nothing else, so he has to play midfield.
Yeah, I mean, look, against Ipswich and Palace, he did a couple of things which was quite interesting, Mikel, to be fair to him, in his defence. He looked and had a stint with Lewis Skelly in midfield. He started with Marino in midfield. He brought on started Ben White at right back, brought on Kieran Tierney, started with Zinchenko. He kind of gave everybody a little bit of a game just in case they were needed. So he's done the right thing in keeping them fit and rotating. I just don't know where his head's at with this one. I don't know if he thought Lewis Skelly was playing there well enough to go for a stint against PSG. Might be a bit of a deep end, although I believe that he's good enough for it. Kieran Tierney at left back would be my choice if Lewis Skelly was in there, but maybe he's going to put Timber at left back and Ben White, who started well at Ipswich. There's a lot of options that he's got now, just with one player being out and suspended. There's actually a lot of things he can do. None of them, though, I would say are that risk averse. I think all of them have got a element of risk to it. Marino in midfield is not the same as up top. Trossard through the centre means trying to put the balls into the box is not quite the same.
You're not getting no change in that regard.
Yeah, aerial ability, but also the link-up play from Marino is very good up top. Lewis Skelly coming into midfield. What happens at left back? Kieran Tierney is not a risk for me because I think he's great defensively, but he hasn't played an amazing amount of football. There's a lot of risks that you can do with it. So I don't think he'll make that many risks. I think what he'll do is he'll drop Rice deep and then put Marino in the 8. Because when in the summer we bought them, that was the trio I think he wanted to go with because I think he assumed Partey would have injury problems. Because Partey's been consistently good and not injured, that's allowed Marino to then be a bit more of a kind of surplus to requirements player, a bit of a squad player. I think he'll play Rice, Marino and Ødegaard and Trossard through the middle.
I'm happy I'm not Mikel Arteta, if I'm honest with you, because what the hell do you do? Because obviously PSG versus Arsenal, it's a fantastic spectacle considering the contexts of both teams in the semi-finals and how Luis Enrique and Arteta managed. And also we played them in the Champions League before. I think it will be a fairly open game and one of those where, you know, like how I think it will be an open game and entertaining for the neutrals on one hand. But then on the other hand, I look at, you know, if you were to say Manchester City, Arsenal, like a full strength Arsenal or Pep Guardiola against Arteta, if that was the trailer of the movie and what you normally see when these teams play each other, with exception to us battering them 5-1, it's not really the most entertaining games. It's kind of a stalemate. There's not too much in it. A part of me feels that could be the case. Now, for me, in an ideal world, Partey doesn't get that yellow card, but I'm putting Marino up front, Jorginho comes in. I hope it's a lot of mind games from the manager in relation to what he's doing. For me, though, I would like to see the first option you said with Lewis Skelly in midfield, but then I think there means too many moving parts because you're going to have to move Rice to the right-hand side. Personally, I don't think you'd play Tierney in that regards. I think you'd bet on someone like Zinchenko just to keep the inverted thing. And with the greatest of respect to the informed Kivior and actually Zini, who's done okay when he's come in, if you're PSG, you fancy that on the counter-attack. How bullish are you with our chances of the PSG tie? Like, do you think it's decided at home and away? Like, what is everything PSG for you?
Okay, so I think the similar scenario needs to be the Real Madrid games. I think that needs to happen again. I think we need to be at least 2 goals up in the first leg for us to have a comfortable day in Paris. I don't think it's going to be comfortable across either legs, but I think for the tie to be comfortable, we need to be winning 2-0, 3-0 like we were. I feel like the team is better. PSG as a team. I think Real Madrid had more individuals. I don't think they're playing as a team this season, Real Madrid. So I think they don't have the Vinny Juniors and the Mbappes and the Bellinghams, etc. But as a team, I think PSG are just so well drilled. I think Luis Enrique has really shown how much of an improvement.
He's another madman.
Yeah, I mean, when we played them, they had the same team. People think it was a different PSG. It was a different PSG, but it was the same players because the only players they didn't have was Kvaratskhelia, Dembele was suspended, and Fabian Ruiz was out. Everybody else played. Yeah.
Gonna have
So
them now and their
Donnarumma
fullbacks.
played. Yeah. Hakimi played. Nuno Mendes played. The same partnership that's going to play against us at the back will be playing. The same trio midfield, Barb, Fabian Ruiz played. Yeah. And up top, they didn't have Dembele, but Kvaratskhelia has now come into the mix. So the trio in midfield, I think, is the best in Europe. Vitinha is one of the best I've seen in a long time. I think he's an outstanding footballer. João Neves looks ridiculous in that position for his age. And obviously, Fabian Ruiz, I think, is one of the most underrated in Europe for what he does. Kvaratskhelia, for me, is one of the best left wingers in the world. I think Dembele has proven that this season he's been unbelievable to watch, and his stats back that up. And it doesn't matter if you play Barcola, if you play Doué, they've actually got some quality players. They've got Ramos to come on from the bench as well. In midfield, we've spoken about. So they're going to definitely give a threat. However, going forward, we know they're elite. We know they're electrifying. We know they're scintillating at times. Defensively, I think we can handle it. My issue is, can we get at their defense? And I think that Aston Villa have showed that we can. If Rashford can do it,
open,
then we can. They're going to be open. They're going to be allowing us chances. We've got to take Saka and Martinelli going forward. Let's be real. I'm a big fan of what they've both been doing at the moment, and certainly
Martinelli on the transition with space, cash money.
Yeah, and Marino, if he is playing, has been very important in the Champions League as well. So I think for me that we can get through. I've predicted us to get through to the final. I'm not going to talk about what happens next because we've got to get there first. But for me, I feel like across the two legs, I think Arsenal can do it. But I do believe we need another great performance like we had at Real Madrid at home, because people say it was scintillating, but we only really scored one from open play. And that was Marino's goal, which was a quality finish, by the way. The other two were set pieces. So can we go and do some damage? Yeah, I think we could. If Aston Villa were actually shooting boots on, I think they could have actually won that game and gone through. So Arsenal have got to go and do that. And going over to Paris, if we actually do get the dream scenario of beating them in Paris, we get the kind of, revenge from that ground. And then obviously we go to Barcelona potentially in the final if they get there and get revenge in 2006. That would be the absolute dream scenario for me. That would be the dream, bro. So the dream's still there at the moment. This is the thing.
Keep dreaming, Dan. This is all we got now. It's been a long season. We can right our wrongs, bro.
That's all I've got on this season. Not this goes wrong, it's going to be one of the worst seasons we've had in a long time. If we actually go and win this, it will be the best season that we've had in my time, probably, along with the Invincibles.
We would have won the Champions League and made history, Dan, man.
And, bruv, do you know what, DG? When people ask me this question, did you want to win the Premier League or the Champions League? I picked the Champions League.
I'm with DJB champs all day.
That's what I'm praying, bro.
I'm on the champs thing. The only thing I would say that's annoying, I'm probably nitpicking, and it didn't make a difference against Madrid. It's a bit annoying how the second leg isn't at the Emirates because it's all about fine margins and all of that. And I think Arteta alluded to that, but it is what it is. As we kind of close, because I know you're pressed for time. Obviously, we've been talking about defenders. David Ornstein has said we're in the mix for Dean Huijsen of Bournemouth. Liverpool are there. Chelsea are there. Apparently, Berta and Arteta are keen. Apparently, his release clause doesn't have to all be paid in full, which is music to our ears. Where are you at with him? Do you think we need him? Would you have him?
I would absolutely have him. 50 million that can be paid in installments across 3 seasons. Absolutely.
I gonna love that.
I think he's I think for me that is Arsenal all over, paying in installments. I think Saliba and Gabriel need cover. If it's going to be Kivior and Huijsen as cover, I'm happy. If Kivior goes, I think we need to go and get Yoel Harto and Huijsen. And I'm not saying they're priorities, but I'm on both of those because I think they can both cover. And they're not got a lot of money either. If we're paying 50 million over 3 years, 35 million for Harto, they reckon. That's not a lot of money for 2 centre halves.
Get some outgoings as well. Pays for itself.
Yeah, outgoings as well. Pays for them. Kivior could pay for Harto or majority of it. You go and buy 3 installments in Huijsen. We've got our 2 centre-back cover. Backup goalkeeper. Bring in Zubimendi. Bring in an attacking creative midfielder. Bring in your winger and your striker. We're done. That's the summer we got to have. And people might go, what? You're playing Football Manager, FIFA? No, I'm talking about 250 million being spent. Player sales on that, you might go to 270, 280. So let's just be realistic about it.
I'm with you with that. I'm not even going to ask you your thoughts on Gyökeres because we both want it. Yeah, so I'll be wasting time. Apparently, Liam Delap and Watkins are alternatives. Where are you at with that?
I think they're fine for backup. If Liam Delap was to come in, I'd be happy with that. Or Ollie Watkins coming to backup Victor Gyökeres. If we get in 2 strikers, that'd be fine. I don't want is kind of Liam Delap and Watkins both arriving at Arsenal as our two strikers. That wouldn't excite me. But Gyökeres 100% would, bruv. 100%.
Yeah, bro. Gyökeres needs to sign Berta. We hear you're a fan. David Ornstein,
Yeah.
drop the thingy, make it happen. Zubimendi though, like, do you think we're gonna get him because we're taking around the houses again and again, and no doubt we will? Like, do you have confidence in us signing him?
Well, I mean, people tell me that David Ornstein and Sammy Mockbell are the two most reliable sources. So if they're saying it's done, then I expect him to be an Arsenal player in the summer ASAP. He's got a release clause. It's not hard to do. Do it early. Gyökeres, release clause, do it early. Huijsen, release clause, do it early. Nico Williams, release clause, do it early. It's not hard when you've got release clauses like this. Do you know what I'm
If you've
saying?
really done your due diligence on the player as well.
Facts.
My last one for you then, like Partey. I'm sure you've covered this. Where you at with Thomas Partey signing the new deal? Do you also think this might impact bringing in people? Because if Partey's staying, could you argue maybe Zubimendi saying no to us, and now we need to keep a six and we need to look elsewhere? Where you at with Partey signing a new deal?
I think if he goes, it's criminal, if I'm honest. He's been our best midfielder. He's the best six we got. He's a brilliant player still. It's not like he's 40. He's only 30 years old. Him and Zubimendi as the sixes. Looks like Rice will be the box-to-box. We get another box-to-box option. I think that will be our summer. Jorginho, I expect to go. So Partey needs to stay, man. And if it's a year with another year option, I'll take it.
I'm with you with that. And my last one for you, we've been re-linked with Murillo of Nottingham Forest, who's quite good. I think he was more of an Edu signing, and we've kept that up. I don't know if we're going to spend 70 million or even more, especially if Nottingham Forest get Champions League football, and Edu might even do us dirty and do us no favors. But for argument's sake, would you have him?
Yes, I would have him, but I wouldn't spend 70 million on a defender this summer. I'll put it unless we've got 400 million to spend. So I don't think that is a priority at all. I think backup defenders. He's not going to come to Arsenal and sit on the bench with Gabriel and Saliba. I'm not even sure Huijsen would. Harto might not want to. So we have to be really shrewd in our business here. So I don't see Murillo leaving Nottingham Forest, if I'm honest, this summer. I think they'll keep him. I think then talks of a new contract. I think him and Milenkovic have been a brilliant partnership. So for me, I think it's fair that we say that probably won't happen to Arsenal.
Exactly. I can't find it, bro. But there was something around Nico Williams. If I could, I can't find it. But yeah, apparently Nico Williams is having cold feet. I can't find it, but this will close on this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, how often, like with this Nico Williams thing, 1 minute he's signing, 1 minute it's not, and you could say Zubimendi. At what point does Berto or whatever got to pivot away? Like, do we say, you know what, if you're not telling us by the second week of June that you want to sign for us, do we need to go elsewhere, or do we keep trying to wait for info?
Yeah, I think what we need to do is we need to say we want let's just say we're looking at a position in midfield. This is my plan A, this is my plan B, and this is my plan C. I'll be happy with all three of them, but there's an order of priority. If plan A doesn't come in the next week, we say, right, we go to plan B. And if they decide to get itchy feet as well, we go to plan C. That's how it used to work with Berta. I think that's how it will work. And I think that's where we've gone with the strikers scenario being linked with Hugo Ekitike and Sesko alongside Gyökeres. We've just mentioned Watkins and Delap alongside Gyökeres. So they're already having some backup options, I think. So that's how I think it will work. Nico Williams, I'm still not set on. I know that you're quite a fan. I don't know that he is going to be an absolute massive upgrade on Martinelli. I hear good things from him in Spain. I've seen good things in Spain. But when I look at his club level, I don't think the players actually...
His stats are not outstanding.
Nah, and I don't know that he is set on moving away from Spain. So I think that one may not happen. But we'll see. It's a huge question mark for me. There's other options. Lookman, I'm a fan of. I like Semenyo. I like Mohamed Kudus. I like Mitoma. I think there's other options there at left wing, but we'll see, man.
We'll have to see, man, and especially where Nico Williams and Zubimendi are concerned, because they do have an attachment to their clubs. They do have an attachment with Spain. Obviously, where Nico Williams is concerned, if Barca want you and Real Madrid want Zubimendi, they even link with Alonso. We'll have to see. My big thing is, people, go after all these players. If it don't work, go elsewhere in it. Just make sure come the end of the window, we have what you, me, Dan, and everyone feels that we have, in that we have quality and quantity to obviously get over the line and win trophies. TC, I mean, naturally, PSG's fullbacks is going to be an interesting battle because, you know, our wingers against their fullbacks. Our wingers are also going to have to help defending. And it's just going to be an interesting game on Tuesday, but we'll have to see. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Dan, what content you got to come out? As usual, broski, it's always a pleasure, man. What you got to come?
Come on, bruv. I'm literally about to go live with Curtis now, Curtis Shaw TV. Then I'm on Redmen TV later at 7 p.m. with Errol's lot. And I've got some videos dropping on Mine Football's 12th Man, but I'll be back over the weekend doing content as well.
Man. This guy's a grafter, man. 40,000 subscribers is within reach, people. Let me make sure we rate it. Why is it not coming up then? Football's 12th, man.
I don't know.
This is jarring, man. I'm flopping myself. Wait, is Curtis in the
I saw it's Curtis Shaw TV. It's on
Oh,
Curtis.
there it is. Yeah. We're going to raid that, people. I've set it. Goals, hit the like button, drop a DG raid and whatnot. Big up Dan for tuning in. Let's let him go and fix up for that stream. People, we're out. Dan, next week, broski.
Love, bro.
Come on, my guy. You always